What we will have soon is a Chinese social credit system, but it won't involve the government in the beginning. That's because the government will have to continue pretending that it's bound by the Constitution a while longer after the system is implemented. This system will work best when there is no more paper currency, only digital currency, but it can work even if there is still physical cash. Everyone is going to be assigned a social credit score, a number that will go up or down depending if your behavior is good or bad. Whether your behavior is good or bad will be determined by the corporations, but actually by the tribe. Mass surveillance systems will detect your behavior. The judging of your behavior will be based on guidelines that are just like YouTube and Facebook community guidelines. The social credit score will exist strictly in the sphere of, so-called private businesses and how they relate to your life. Meaning, the government will still have to render you service, no matter what. But private businesses, not so much. If they don't like you as a person and can use mass surveillance to detect that you are someone these companies don't agree with, they can punish you by denying you the sale of their products and services. Businesses reserve the right not to provide you service, so therefore they won't be breaking any laws by doing what I'm about to describe. And there will be more and more automated stores that will use facial recognition to identify customers. Facial recognition will eventually be everywhere. So as soon as you enter a place of business, they will know your identity. And it will be very simple to cross-reference your identity with, let's say, activities on your social media accounts or elsewhere on the internet, or activities that you have conducted outside of internet but have been recorded by surveillance cameras and footage that would include audio as well, so it's also possible to hear what you were saying. So as soon as you enter a place of business, they will know your identity. Mass surveillance will be all over every inch of public land. Okay, so let's say I write the following thing in my James Grider novel, and then post the novel online. Populate this town with about 200 blacks, however, and stick them all on the same block, and the endless lull will die within the hour of their arrival. And these cops will be wishing for the good old days when they could just park on the side of the road and nap away the night shift. This is an excerpt where James Grider is reflecting on how, in a town populated only by white people, cops must have nothing to do. But if a few hundred blacks were sent to live in the town, cops will never know any respite from crime and will be very busy every night. This is hate speech. It's implying that blacks are more prone to violence and criminality than white people, and therefore implying that races are not equal. Being detected as someone who violates the hate speech guidelines of corporations, my social credit score would be dinged for making a post like that. And how will every corporation and every business know that I wrote that? Well, social media companies will require, across the board eventually, that you provide a smartphone number to open a social media account. There will not be any more, private, anonymous social media accounts. And then when you think when you use sites like Amazon, you have to attach a bank account number, so your identity is discoverable that way. So the way it works is the person who opened the social media account with the phone company to whom the phone number belongs, that's the person that gets penalized for the online behavior that is attached to that cell phone number. They can't prove that I am behind the computer typing this stuff, but they can prove that it's my stepdad paying for that phone number that's attached to the YouTube account. So my writing will, in fact, hurt his social credit score rather than my own. Because it's his cell phone account, so therefore they must treat it as if it's him writing this stuff. I've already explained how all major businesses are Masonic. They all share our digital data between each other. Because the world is one big amusement park built by Freemasonry. And if you are a member of Freemasonry, that means you are under Jewish control and you stand for Jewish causes. Otherwise, you're never going to make it anywhere in Freemasonry, such as becoming a big shot, corporate tycoon. So, increasingly, every business out there will be under instruction from Judeo-Freemasonry to check the social credit scores of their customers before conducting business with them. And if those scores are too low, they have to be dropped as customers. And by conducting business, it can mean the following very simple example. You're walking along and you decide to buy a bottle of water because you are thirsty. You enter a gas station convenience store and you set the bottle of water on the counter at the register and you are ready to pay. Now, the facial recognition cameras have already picked out your identity. And if not, and you use a debit card, especially if, everything goes cashless, so you're forced to use some kind of a card with digital cash on it, your identity will be known that way. You can no longer purchase something as simple as a bottle of water anonymously. And that's why it's important to have a cashless society for this scheme. So you cannot ever buy anything anonymously with paper money. This particular shop you entered has a policy to check the social credit score of customers before going through with any sale. But it's not just the store. The company, the corporation that provides, that makes the bottled water, they don't want to sell their bottled water to people that have too low of a social credit score. So they require that the social credit score is checked before a customer is allowed to buy one of their products. Why? Because they don't want racists drinking their water. They don't want to be making their product for racists. Just like YouTube does not want to provide a service for racists. They shut your account down if you're deemed racist. So same thing here. YouTube rules that apply to everything now. So we don't want to sell bottled water to a racist. So customers with too low of a credit score, I don't know what the number would be. They are to be denied business at that store. The clerk tells you, sorry, it's company policy not to sell to a customer with too low of a social credit score, since that's the case for you because you were detected using hate speech on the internet, or the Amazon Alexa thing inside your house heard you using hate speech during a private conversation, and Amazon recorded that on their servers, and now Amazon has shared that recording with us. So now you have two options. You can run out with that water bottle without paying for it and get arrested. You can threaten to kill the clerk if he doesn't let you buy the water and get arrested. Or you just walk away thirsty and you find a puddle or a creek to drink out of. This will apply to absolutely anything and everything you might want to buy. You've been caught uttering hate speech, which is anything and everything deem does not benefit goals. You might say, well, fuck the businesses who check your social credit score. I will go to a mom and pop shop that's not controlled by Freemasonry and shop there. Well, those places will also be dependent on social credit scores. Uh, Independent people who run those businesses, they might need bank loans. And the banks won't give out loans if your social credit score is too low. And also, anyone who conducts a business that doesn't use the social credit score on its customers, they will have their personal social credit scores lowered. So it won't be in their interest to serve the undesirables, because by serving the undesirables, they themselves will become undesirables. Something like that might cause, private, non-Masonic businesses to lose suppliers that keep their shelves stocked. So even if they don't want to, even if they are against the system, to remain afloat, they will grudgingly have to join the system. The way social credit score works in China is that simply being friends with or associating with someone who has a low social credit score will drag down your own social credit score. You can be doing everything in the world not to utter hate speech and keep the masters happy. But if you're caught associating with me, such as subscribing to my YouTube channel, buying one of my books, if you are caught on a facial recognition camera walking next to me as a friend, you will be penalized. You have associated yourself with an undesirable person who is deemed racist, even though you are not. My stepdad, by associating with me, an open racist, will have his social credit score penalized. He'll find out suddenly he can't purchase supplies for his business. He'll find out that wealthy customers who have Masonic connections, which they do because that's how they can afford houses with 6 or 7 bedrooms and can afford his service, they will refuse to employ him. Why? Because these millionaires have a lot to lose if their social credit score is damaged for associating with a person who is close to a racist and inviting a racist into their home to do work. So, as you will discover, you are unable to pay bills, use services such as transportation, unable to buy basic survival necessities like food, because you dropped your social credit score too low by saying things like, Jews are engaged in white genocide. You will have no choice but either stop denying the Holocaust, stop saying anything that's deemed hate speech, such as bashing illegal aliens for being illegal aliens. Stop saying hate speech such as various mass shootings are hoaxes. Make sure facial recognition cameras don't catch you jaywalking or littering. Or you will end up starving to death in a gutter because all of these corporations will refuse to sell you their food. And you will starve to death unless you start killing rats or something to feed yourself. The corporations don't have to serve you. If they don't like you as a person, and they can detect with all this smart grid technology that you've been a person that they don't like and you have beliefs they don't like, they can kick you off their property and not sell you shit. And it's all lawful. You have no privacy outdoors, so why shouldn't you be subject to facial recognition technology and devices that listen to what you say in private conversations so you can be held accountable for speech that the state does not like? You voluntarily walked into a store, so why shouldn't you be subject to facial recognition technology and being identified? It's not your right to buy anonymously. So, are you going to be stubborn and continue denying the Holocaust and proclaiming that blacks are causing all the crime? Or are you going to behave and stop the hate speech so you can raise your social credit score and be allowed to buy corporate products again? So you can buy that sandwich at McDonald's so you don't starve to death? Are you going to try to increase your social credit score by performing tasks and special chores, such as visiting the Holocaust Museum for 2 hours every week, which is going to become almost like the chore of attending a church or something. The Church of Holocaust.